Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hartford Theater Works. Let's get a round of applause for all of you beautiful people. All right. There's one ugly person all the way in the back, but we'll let him slide. So, I want to start out by having everyone please silence their cell phones so there is no interruptions during the ceremony. Today is a fantabulous day because we are here to celebrate the new grade 8 into the Connecticut Hall of Change. Let's hear it. Without further ado, I want to introduce to you your host, MC for the evening, former Department of Corrections Commissioner, Mr. Scott Semple. Let's hear it.
Good evening, everyone. I finally made it to the stage. Before I start this wonderful event, I just thought it would be apropos that we acknowledge 9/11 21 years ago today with a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you. Okay, now we can have fun. As Charlie said, my name's Scott Semple. I am a new member to the Hall of Change, the committee that's involved in making these selections. And because I am the new member, I am your host. So founded in 2019 and launched in 2020, the Hall of Change is designed to honor impacted people from Connecticut communities for the work they do when no one else is looking. Tonight, we honor 8 individuals for that work and the impact that they have made here in Connecticut. Only 8 individuals each year receive this honor. Tonight, we will hear some amazing true life stories of resilience and success despite overwhelming odds. This program has already had an incredible effect on all of those involved, as well as many looking at it from the outside. Several states, including Maryland, have expressed an interest in replicating this program. I'd like to acknowledge some special guests that we have this evening. Just bear with me because it changes by the minute. The Honorable Judge Erica Tyndall. The Chief State's Attorney for here in Connecticut, Pat Griffin, and his beautiful wife. The Honorable Judge Vernon Oliver. The United States Attorney Vanessa Bryant Avery. A Vice President from Yale University, Ronald Higgins. The Honorable Judge Myers. And the Honorable Judge Gustafson. And I did see my good friend, Mayor Luke Bronin, here this evening as well. Mayor Broden, would you come up and say a few words, please?
Thank you so much, Scott. And while you may be new to the Hall of Change, you're not new to making change and leading change in the state, and it's really an honor to have you here tonight. to all of the judges and distinguished guests, to all of those who dedicate their life to doing this work, to all of the guests and friends and family and loved ones who are here, and most importantly, to the 8 recipients or inductees into this Hall of Change tonight. It is an honor to welcome you to Hartford tonight. We are so proud to host this ceremony once again, and so grateful to all of you. I want to say a special thank you to Charlie Grady for your work in founding this organization, in partnering with so many different people and organizations here to do this work throughout our state. It is vitally important. You know, in the city of Hartford, we have embraced it without reservation the philosophy that a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance is important, not just for the person who's giving it, who's getting it, but for the entire community, for families, for neighborhoods, for children, for parents, for our city as a whole. We need everyone to have the opportunity to rebuild. Yes, there are consequences when people make mistakes, but there's got to be a path back. There's got to be the chance to rebuild. Redemption has to be real and possible, and we're all better for working to make it possible. And so here in Hartford, I do want to say a special thanks to all of the people who lead our Reentry Welcome Center, which just opened in a new expanded space just a few weeks ago on Windsor Street, to Sue Gunderman, who has long led our reentry efforts, and to so many other people who are a part of doing that work on a daily basis. What's so powerful about it is that it is a collaboration of countless partners working together day after day to try to connect those who want to rebuild to the resources that help do it. But if we're going to be successful in this work, if we're going to tear down the barriers that make it so hard to get housing or to get a job or to get back to school, we have to be able to lift up the stories of people who have done it. Because there are still an awful lot of people who don't believe. There are still an awful lot of people who don't think this really matters, or may think that change isn't possible. And what's so powerful about this Hall of Change is that we have examples of people who are living that transformation, who have made a choice not just to rebuild their own lives, but to transform communities and lift others up by doing it. And that's a message that everybody needs to hear, whether it's an employer who needs to know that when they give somebody a second chance, a lot of times they're getting some of the best employee they'll ever get, because that person knows how hard it was to get that chance. Or whether it is a neighborhood or community that we need to rally around somebody when they come home and help provide that support and say, welcome back. So on behalf of our city, where far too many people are living with the burden and the barriers that criminal justice system involvement carries, I'm so grateful to the 8 of you and to everybody here who has either lived that transformation or helped make that transformation. And since I'm Mayor of Hartford, I do just want to say a special shout out to Edward Andrews, who is from Hartford and one of the 8 tonight. I know that everybody here will hear about everybody's story, but I just want to say personally, I've seen Edward around the City Hall from basically the day I got there, and meeting from, originally with our first reentry director, Miss Diane Jones, and then of course with the team that's there now, building partnerships with the Dunkin' Donuts Park and Yard Goats team, and most importantly, telling the stories that people need to hear to understand not just that most folks who are going into prison have experienced tremendous trauma, but that the experience itself is traumatic. And that if we're going to be successful in providing real, powerful, effective reentry services and making second chances a reality, we've got to make sure that addressing that trauma is a part of that work. So to Edward for that work, but again, to every single one of you, thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for what you have done. And to Charlie for what you have built. To Scott for showing the world and the departments of correction around the state how departments of correction can be a part of that work. And again, to everybody else who does this, God bless you, thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you so much, Mayor Broden. And I can't help myself because some of you may know I was the cabinet member, Commissioner of Correction for Governor Malloy. And at the time, Mayor Broden was lead counsel for Governor Malloy. And he was one of the architects for the Governor's Second Chance Society, which allowed me to do the things that we were able to do during my short tenure. It seems like it was a short tenure, but, you know, I'm only 30 years old. Thank you, Mayor Broden. I'd also like to call up to the dais a good friend, Sue Gunderman.
You know you're short when you have to adjust the microphone. Hang on one second. Oh, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the GW. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mayor. It is a true honor and a pleasure and a privilege to work for the city of Hartford, and I'm just truly blessed to be here this evening to share in this wonderful celebration for all of our inductees. This is just, I want to congratulate each and every one of you for your own individual personal success. Now, I would be remiss, Scott Wilderman from Career Resources was slated to give these remarks, and so I'm here sharing his remarks with you this evening. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and credit. He couldn't be with us this evening. So your triumph over tragedy remains a testament to the enduring strength of human spirit. There is a saying in life that we can choose to be affected by the world, or we can choose to affect the world. The key word here in the statement is choice. Each one of you chose not to let your past determine your future. The power of choice should never be underestimated. Charlie Grady also made a choice. His choice was to find a group of committed organizations and advocates who could work collaboratively together to bring your journey to the forefront in an attempt to inspire and motivate others. He did not need to search far, as he found allies in the Connecticut Department of Correction, the State Museum System, Career Resources, the City of Hartford, the Connecticut Reentry Collaborative, and members of the community. The Hall of Change was born out of the notion that your story needs to be told. Your journey needs to be celebrated, and your accomplishments need to be recognized. To that end, we owe Charlie Grady a huge debt of gratitude for establishing the Connecticut Hall of Change. Collectively, as organizations and advocates, we have a duty to preserve and promote your success. At this time, I'd like to call up Morgan Bangle from the State Museum System to share how your journey will be memorialized. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Hi, everyone. My name is Morgan Bengal. I am the curator and site administrator for Old Newgate Prison in Coppermine, which is a state-run museum operated by the Department of Economic and Community Development. From 1773 to 1827, the men and later women incarcerated at Newgate were inhumanely housed in an abandoned copper mine. Today, we are honored to house the Connecticut Hall of Change. So congratulations to the inductees. I'm here to tell you that your names will forever be preserved at our museum. But I'm also here to tell you that your work impacts the past. Including your voices at the museum greatly impacts how we understand and discuss the lives of those who were previously incarcerated at Newgate. So I hope you can take pride knowing that your stories have an impact on the past, present, and future. And we are so honored. And we are so thankful that you are willing to share them with us. So with that, I want to take a quick segue to show an example of this partnership, a partnership between inductees with 2020 inductee Daryl McGraw, founder of Formerly Inc. And he included voices and himself and created a documentary at our museum highlighting the similarities and differences between Newgate's justice system and today. So we're going to show a short clip of that. The entire documentary is on our website and will soon be displayed at the museum when you all come and visit. So enjoy.
What was the first thought of going down there into the copper mine? What was that? What did that feel like? Like, can you imagine? So, just giving some background is that it was basically going down in a hole, which is a former copper mine, which was, for the record, it was one of the first state prisons.
My first thought was this was extremely inhumane.
My first thoughts were like the laws. I understood that it was the beginning of the country, and I was like, there was be no laws. So if now, today, being in prison can be not only damaging mentally, but it could be so dangerous for some people. I could imagine, my first thought looking around, I knew there was no type of law to protect nobody.
Right. So you meant law like down there, like it was a lawless place, like no rules, no nothing. It was kind
There
of...
must be no type of rules. It was just house people on top of each other, and whatever happens the next morning, we get rid of who died, put some more on top.
Right. Right.
That's the feelings I got. That's how it felt so cold like that. That was the mentality of whoever was in charge. There was no emotions towards humankind there.
I, as somebody that served 7 years in solitary confinement, was, if this is jail, where the freak was solitary? Like, what?
Right.
So I was like, take me to where their solitary was. So they would, as you go along the tour, solitary wasn't much different than regular, and like the walls was dripping, and it was like I couldn't imagine, like, and as I was in real life, when I was in solitary from 2001 to 2007, I thought that I had the worst fate on earth when we had our event there, because when I had my organization Once Incarcerated with Women Against Mass Incarceration, when we did our event for the National Council, we had an event there and I couldn't go back down. The first time we went there, I did go down. And I don't know, it was very traumatizing for me, because it's definitely, imagine those people that had to be there. It makes me take myself out of my own experience, and it makes me not feel as bad for myself as I, in my own experience. And it made me say, like, damn, imagine if I was those people sleeping on that cold cement, not even cement, cave or whatever the hell it was, and just with the wet floors, and the guards didn't even stay in there. So imagine no one to ever break up your fight,
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Now I have the privilege of introducing to you Miss Antoinette Glenn.
Good evening. As stated, my name is Antoinette Glenn, but I was formerly inmate number 115-36014. 27 years ago, I was found guilty in the federal court of law. And 26 years ago, I was sentenced to 97 months in federal prison. 21 years ago, or was it 22? No, 22 years ago, I was released from federal prison. And last year, I was inducted into the Connecticut Hall of Change. Yes. So just allow me to reintroduce myself at this point. I am Dr. Antoinette Marie Glenn. So 2021 was a good year for me because I published my book entitled Found Guilty, My 26-Year Journey to Redemption. And then I was inducted into the Connecticut Hall of Change. So my life totally changed last year. And it's been great ever since. Just being inducted into the Connecticut Hall of Change, getting an award for coming out and doing what you love. I'm an assistant principal at a middle school it's an academy. It's a pre-K-8 school in the state of Maryland, and one of the largest districts in Maryland. And I'm talking, my kids are Title I school, and so you're talking brokenness, broken homes, and these are the people that end up in prison. So I definitely want to give back. And where can I go give back to such a large amount of people at one time? So the school system, because that's where it all begins. And I mean, we run from it. Some people run from it. I don't know how you can do it, but it's a noble profession and it's my passion. And when I came out of prison, I, of course, was told that I couldn't work in the school system, but I do know what's for you is for you. So I'm there. I'm there, and there's nothing they can do about it. So I've made my mark on the school system. I've been there now for 21 years, and I worked my way up, and so there is redemption. I mean, there are second chances, and I'm telling you now when I introduce myself to people, I met with a senator and a councilman last week. So when I meet with them, I met with them to tell them, to ask them what is their stake in reentry. Because I don't see a whole lot of stuff going on in Maryland. I see it in DC, but I don't see it in Maryland. And as Charlie indicated, we had spoke with a couple of people that said they were interested, but now I got to do the groundwork because I got to meet people and say, look, what's going on? So I introduced myself. I said, hi, I'm Dr. Glenn, and I explained I had spent 5 years, 3 months, 2 weeks, 8 hours, 4 minutes in federal prison, right? So and she's looking at me like I came straight from work. So I said, I'm a member of the Hall of Change. She said, what's the Hall of Change? I said, well, the Connecticut Hall of Change. Connecticut is well vested in reentry. I said, I don't see a whole lot going on here in Maryland. That's why I wanted to meet with you. I said, so, and then I'm telling her my story. I'm telling her about hang time, hurt time, and how I was inducted last year, and how it was 8 individuals like you sitting in front. And this is the 3rd year. So I was telling them about myself and the year before and that another one was coming up. As a matter of fact, I'm going next week to the next grade 8 that's coming in. I said, because I'm fully committed and I will be here every year to help welcome in everybody that comes in. Because the real work happens now. Once you're inducted, you have to come back, you have to speak. And that's just what you have to do because you want to always reach back and help those that's coming up behind you. And you have to feel honored, like myself, to have been chosen out of a whole state. 8 out of a whole state, so that says a lot. And I'm closed now because I can go on forever. But one of the things I wanted to say, and I want you to think about it clearly, when you walk by a flower bed, you see all these beautiful flowers, and everybody loves flowers, and everybody stop and they look at the flowers. And then there's always, so they're supposed to be there in the flower bed, am I correct? Okay, so now you're walking down the street, and you see a flower coming through the cracks of the concrete. That's us. We made it through and we pushed through, and congratulations.
Okay, so someone whispered in my ear before we introduce Dr. Glenn, don't call her doctor, because she wants to tell everybody. So, moving right along, well, we have a few minutes, so I'm going to tell you a joke. And it's about Charlie Grady. So he is our next speaker. But, you know, all this stuff that he's been doing, right, requires funding. And we need help and folks to step up, to elevate where this is going. And Charlie, being the founder, Hang Time and Hall of Change and everything that comes with that and all that stuff, you know, he finally realized that he's onto something, and he went home to his significant other. And he said, could you believe in your wildest dreams that they would acknowledge me for doing the stuff that I do? In your wildest dreams, could you believe that I would be acknowledged for the stuff that I do? And his significant other said, you are never in my wildest dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, Charles Grady.
She don't have no wild dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. You know, the older I get, the more emotional I get. So some of you in here that are older than me, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, you. And so I really, you know, and just sitting here and watching everything unfold, I'm taking great pride in what we've built. And I say we because the name Charlie Grady is spit out, but you don't do anything by yourself. No one does anything by themselves. And to be able to lead a group of people and work with a group of people whose hearts are in it for the real reason, that's what becomes the wind beneath my wings. And so I want to acknowledge some of those people right here and right now. Would you bring the house lights up for me just a little bit? Because I want everybody here to see, would everyone who is a part of the Connecticut Hall of Change Committee please stand? Let's hear it from these ladies and gentlemen. Look. Amazing people. Amazing people. I have a whole bunch of things that I want to say, but I'm going to save it until the end. So those of you that stick around will hear me. I know it's Sunday, and I know a lot of people have other things to do rather than stand here and listen to me. But I wanted to just sort of bring everybody up to speed. When Dr. Glenn speaks, I just love it when she says, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho, hey, Ho. I love that, man. I love it. But we've had that caliber of people joining the Grade 8 since we started. It's just a miracle that people in the community nominate. So understand that we don't pick those people out of the blue. The community, former law enforcement judges, prosecutors, probation, neighbors, business owners, they send us the names of people who they want to see recognized because they recognize the work that they're doing in the community to make the community better. So when we meet these people, we are floored. Our committee is floored when we start to review the work that they've done and we start to go, wow, we're a bunch of slouches. I mean, these people are they're really out there in the trenches with no money oftentimes, but they're doing it from the heart. And when you talk about that flower that comes through the cracks, thank you very much, Doc, because that's exactly what I see. And it's a bouquet. It's a bouquet in this room today. So without further ado, I just want to kind of acknowledge some key people in the room. There are some powerful people in this room, and our host, let's hear it for our host so far. He's doing great. To look at him, you wouldn't think he was funny because he just looks mean. I love you, babe. But the reality is that there's some power in this room, and you heard some of those people introduced, and good friends of mine. Michael Gustafson was an assistant U.S. attorney at the time, and when I came to him and said, listen, I want to start this thing. I want to work with some people that are struggling in the streets and they don't have a place to go and they're couch surfing and so forth. He said, yeah, let's do it. We'll get together and we'll just have pizza and we'll chop it up and talk with all the guys coming home. That was in 2014. There was 8 people in the very first room. Today, we average 35 to 45 people every Tuesday in Bridgeport. We average 20 people in Waterbury. We average at least 15 to 20 in her time. And I want to just thank you, my friend, because your support in the beginning meant everything, especially for the guys coming home. We also, in October, have 2 major things, and I want to push this really quick. One is the unveiling of the plaque. So each year, there's a beautiful lacquer plaque that has all of the inductees' names on the plaque in brass. It's an amazing thing to see. And if you haven't visited the Newgate Copper Mill and Prison Museum, you saw just a clip of it. I beg of you to please show up there. Because when we first went there with this plaque to hang it on the wall, I'll be honest with you, I was like, this is really depressing. Like, we're in a prison where they degraded people and they kept them in holes under the ground. Why am I taking these beautiful souls and people that are doing work and putting them in here? It's almost counterproductive to me. And then this little angel said to me, her name was Morgan Bengal. She says, Charlie, she says, you don't get it. She goes, this is what change looks like. This is what this museum stands for. What it used to be and what it is now, when people walk in, that's what they see. They see these radiant, great 8 people that have turned their past around. So it shows this growth and this evolution, which is amazing. So I thank you all the time for that, Morgan. Thank you. That's going to happen in October. And also keep in mind, October 27th is our first annual comedy night here in Hartford. It's a fundraiser. For any of you that want to get a laugh, have a date. If you don't have a date and that's why you want to laugh, come as well. So without further ado, I will turn it back over to our host. I love you all. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
And I will be performing at that event. So now we get down to the fun part. So our first inductee, Manya Sanders.
Manya Sanders is a senior community health worker and research assistant at the Sichi Center for Health and Justice at the Yale School of Medicine. As a CHW with the Transitions Clinic and uses in her community healthcare worker training to provide healthcare and social service navigation for people leaving incarceration. She supports clients in connecting with both primary and specialty care appointments, including substance use, treatment, and HIV treatment. Providing health education specific to reentry and the community by navigating the complex health and social services systems. Manya's research activities have also included recruiting and following up with participants in the Justice Study, focused on cardiovascular diseases among those recently released from incarceration, also coordinating an education program sponsored by the Tao Foundation, focused on training New Haven residents on COVID-19 prevention and vaccination efforts in New Haven. And third, she's involved with recruiting, conducting qualitative interviews and analysis, qualitative data for the Per Hell Studio study focused on developing personal health library, mobile app for people recently released from a correctional facility. For 10 years prior to working at Yale, Manya worked at Leeway in New Haven, where she oversaw social and health services for individuals living with HIV and hepatitis. Manya Saunders.
I grew up in New Haven, born and raised here in New Haven. I grew up with my parents, my mom and dad, and I had 2 older sisters and 1 older brother and a younger brother. My home life and family life was, I was a preacher's kid. My mom was an evangelist. My dad was a reverend. Grew up in a fairly big home. I think I grew up kind of ordinary, in a Christian-based home. What led me to a life of crime? Things happen. A lot of things happen. From a little girl being molested, being gang raped. What I think really started off was my mom having a baby after I was 10 years old. That was a lot for me because I'm a baby for 10 years and how dare you have another baby, right? But, I love my little sister, but that had a huge impact on me where it kind of made me feel some type of way. The aha moment. I was tired. I was tired, with the addiction. I was tired of the domestic violence. I was tired, and I had a baby girl. And I had her close to my 30s. And I just, I had 3 sons prior who were taken away with the Department of Children's and Family, to my mother, to my mother-in-law, to my sister, my 3 sons. And when I had my daughter, I just didn't ever want her to leave me. I didn't want her to go through a lot of the things that I went through, growing up. And I didn't want her to see me being abused because I don't want her to think that's normal life. So she basically was my aha moment. Am I a hero? No. I am a woman, a formerly incarcerated woman who struggled with addiction, who has a passion to help women. And I help men, but my passion is for the women who mirror me, who look like me. My ultimate goal is to somehow, some way, get a house for women who are coming home from incarceration, just a safe place, help them with education and resumes and mental health services and everything that it takes, because there is a whole slew of things that they need. And the main thing is to be supported by someone who actually cares.
Wow, that was a lot. I just want to say thank you to Mr. Charlie Brady and to all the people who even created such a entity for recognizing people who, have gone through things and overcome things. I think it's very important, the work that we do for people, assisting men and women coming from incarceration is very, very hard. And I heard it mentioned earlier that there's a lot of work, but very few sources, and those are one of the things I struggle with. I do a women's group every Wednesday at the Welcome Center in New Haven, where I'm waiting for Charlie to come and visit us and see if we could, connect with Hang Time. But I just want to say thank you. Big shout out to Daryl McGraw. I worked with him, and Chief Higgins. I know you're not the chief anymore, but I just want to say thank you for even creating a space and honoring me and thinking I'm worth being awarded. Thank you.
Our next recipient is Edward Andrews.
Mr. Edward L. Andrews, Bachelor's of Science, created a program called Script after his own life experiences and based on the mentors that blessed his life and helped him make his journey after 22 years in prison. As Script's founder and CEO, Mr. Andrews draws on his life's experiences as a young person in the streets of Brooklyn, New York, and is a living inspiration, a wise and accomplished man who has dedicated himself to a career as a sociologist, author, lecturer, and urban trauma specialist. He is passionate about working to break down systematic and individual traumas and heal individuals and communities by helping others find their best selves, just as he has. Edward Andrews.
I grew up in 1965, Red Hook Projects in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up with, in the beginning, it was both my parents and 2 of my siblings. And my father was, very abusive to me. When I say abusive, I mean abusive, physical abusive. My mother, she used to always try to make the ends meet, so she always be at work as a telephone operator. And so, me getting abused a lot, I used to look out the window and see guys enjoying themselves, the wrongdoing. And so when someone said, yo, they got love for me, that was drew me to, towards the street life. I was incarcerated for violent crimes, put it that way. The last part I was violent for, it was murder. Facing 85 years, sentenced to 33, served 22. My intervention happened when it just me pounding my head on my bunk saying, this is not me. This is not the way I was raised. I was tired of sleeping with sneakers on, not knowing what it's going to bring, how the next person going to feel, and how the next person react. And sometimes that's how you becomes a victim, I plan on continuing doing what I'm doing, or either go a little step higher, I would be lying to you if I told any one of you that I'm a changed person. Because, serving 22 years, they think that I'm not a changed person because I still have my, challenges, but I could say that I'm an improved person. Today, I'm like a case manager at a behavioral health place, but I'm also a CEO of a program we call SCRIPT. It stands for Second Chance Reentry Initiative Program, based out in Hartford. SCRIPT is a 4-phase program, and those are the program we deal with just strictly trauma. The first phase we deal with the personal development, and then we deal with the second phase is professional development. Then the third phase we deal with is career development. So we get job readiness, the guys, get them clothing to go to interviews. And then I'm already lined up with a lot of jobs, but my concentration is not giving you a job at first. My concentration is addressing the unaddressed symptoms of trauma.
Thank y'all. I would be lying to say if I ain't nervous or not, but I understand. It's been a long journey, and I thank all my supporters here. SCRIPT is about to expand further in other states, especially my home states in New York, starting in Queens. But I just want to try to bring this intervention because a lot of us do things that we don't, when we get in that cell, we be like, damn, only if. But if we could address that trauma, the generational trauma, the urban trauma, we could understand that's when the healing began. I want to thank he's going to always be my commissioner, Commissioner Simple, always. And the last time I was with him and Mayor Bronin is when I first came home. That's when I had gold teeth, right? But anyway, thank you.
Edward, I want my suit back when we're done. Okay, moving along, our next recipient is Rebecca Allen.
Miss Rebecca Allen grew up in Eastern Connecticut and identifies herself as a person in long-term recovery. During her active addiction, she cycled in and out of prison and understands how challenging the reentry process can be. Rebecca works as the director of a recovery advocacy for the Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery, also known as CCAR. As part of CCAR's leadership team, Rebecca directs the advocacy efforts of CCAR and the larger recovery community. I am fortunate to work for an organization where I can share my personal story of recovery and use myself as an example that people can and do recover. Rebecca is grateful to those who have given her opportunities to not be defined by her past, and she pays that forward in both her personal and professional life every day. Rebecca Allen.
So going to jail saved my life. But finding recovery really gave me my life. My name is Rebecca Allen, and I am a native of Connecticut. I started having issues with the criminal justice system really when I started to use heroin. So I started to experiment with alcohol and drugs at a young age, probably about 13 years old. And, I smoked marijuana, I, did acid, I drank, but it wasn't until I was 19 that I started to do heroin. And very quickly after I started to do heroin, I started to, do a crime to support my habit. As I was trying to figure out how many times I've been in prison, and I'm not quite sure. I would say probably about 8 times. And most of the time I spent were between 4 and 6 months, but the longest was probably 9 months. I believe that there is, I talk about my story. I believe that jail saved my life. Literally saved my life, because I was not able to stop. And it didn't matter what treatment program I was in. It didn't matter, what I was doing. I tried methadone. I tried different things. Nothing worked, except nothing would stop me once I caught a drug habit except jail. When I share my history, both with my history of substance use, as well as being part of the justice system, people are shocked, and I know that. I know that I don't look like somebody, a heroin addict, or I don't look like I have a criminal record. So I try to use my story strategically to change people's minds about what somebody looks like. With my induction into the Hall of Change, the Great 8, I plan to to really maybe to go back inside and really talk to the women that are there, and also to work with the staff. My experience with being in prison, it wasn't all bad, but there's definitely things that could be improved, and there's definitely things that I think the system can do to really help, especially women. I work for a recovery community organization, the Connecticut Community for Addiction Recovery, or CCAR. I've worked for them for 10 years. With CCAR, I get to do that each and every day. I get to talk about my story. I'm part of the leadership team. I get to support our staff, and in turn, they're supporting, so many people out there that are looking for help, that are looking to not only initiate their recovery, but how do you maintain your recovery?
Thank you. I did prepare a couple of remarks. So I'm truly grateful and honored to be a member of the Great 8 class of 2022. Thank you to the nomination committee, the Hall of Change leadership, and to my fellow inductees, both past and present. I want to thank my family, both those here tonight and those that could not make it. And I also want to thank all the people that over the last 24 years gave me opportunities to not be defined by my past. I'm not as eloquent or as inspiring as I'd like to be, but I speak from my heart. And when given an opportunity, will always speak truth to power. I do this keenly aware that many others in this nation do not have my privilege.
My gender, however, is under attack as cultural norms and the power structure are threatened. Pre-pandemic, there were over 230,000 women behind bars. 80% of these women are mothers. What do you think the damage is to those children, to those families, and to those communities? We have to stop locking people up, period. Losing your freedom is torture, especially for the human soul. Some find a way to move through it, others, it breaks them, but nobody leaves unscathed. Stop locking people up for these petty crimes, for drug use, for being poor or mentally ill. I alone may not be able to change the system, but I know I can change hearts and minds and use my platform to reach back and help others. Thank you.
Okay, I would now like to ask Roland Whitley to come to the stage.
Roland Whitley is a Bridgeport native who has devoted his adult life to supporting and thriving to encourage individuals in his community to commit themselves to better opportunities. Roland dealt with many struggles through his youth that has encouraged him to make efforts to help those who have either gone through similar life experience or other difficulties in life. Roland devotes his time to his community and is involved with programs which include Hang Time, Connecticut Against Violence, My Brother's Keeper, and assisting newly released individuals entering the community from prison. And he also is involved in a new program he helped found called Choices. He also volunteers in his community, distributing school supplies, clothing, and other household items to those in need, and has taken time in his community to coach young athletes in football, baseball, and kickball. Roland Whitley is committed to his community and today's youth to educate them on the different opportunities that allotted to them in their cities. Okay, shut up. Roland has also had the opportunity to collaborate with the elementary and high schools where he's a part of forums where he talks about his life experiences in schools to youth to help them understand how their actions can impact their growth and opportunities. Roland wants to be able to educate the youth of his community so that they will understand how bright their future can really be if they commit themselves and make positive choices. Roland Whitley.
I don't consider myself a hero. I consider myself a person who wants to do better and see better things in other people. I'm just a regular person trying to do right. My name is Roland Whitley. I'm originally from Bridgeport, Connecticut, born and raised. I've been arrested many times, but I've been incarcerated. I did 3 different bids, and all my bids were either drugs or guns, or both. My longest bid, I did 7 years in a federal penitentiary. I really didn't know the impact that it was while I was locked up. It was more when I got out that I felt alone. Even though I was home, I felt alone because a lot of people had either went about their ways or grew or was back in prison or died. So I felt alone, and I didn't understand why. It's because of the fact I was gone for so long, and then coming back to people who had grew. Take an example, one of my daughters. When I left, she was 2. When I come home, she's 9. So it was like, whoa, how do I adapt or readapt or be part of something I've been gone for so long away? As a Hall of Change member is to keep going forward and keep making a change. And it's not about telling someone how to change or what to change. It's about what you do with yourself so they can see the change in you. And it's not about, hey, well, I did this and I did that. No, it's about what I do. It's not about doing it in front of you. It's about doing it behind closed doors when nobody's watching. When you think nobody's watching, somebody's always watching. And that's when it means something. And that's about the Hall of Change. My full-time job is I am a re-entry counselor. So I go to the prisons anywhere from 6 months to a year prior to the individuals who are coming home. And we do like assessments, goal setting, and things of that nature, their wants and their needs. So when they do come home, it's that much easier for them. I explain to them, it's still gonna be hard, but this is one obstacle that we can help you with to get to the goal. The hero to me is my mother. And they always say a female can't raise a male, right? And I understand that, I've been incarcerated, I sold drugs, I carry guns, I robbed and things of that nature. And they always say, well, a woman couldn't, reason why you do that because you were raised in a single home. And I get that, and I understand the things that go with that. But my mom really fought like a lioness for her children, especially me. And she's a great hero. The things that she do then and what she does now is amazing to me. I'm not saying she's the only one, but because she's that close and I can touch it and I can see it, and I can see what it became or what she became is so amazing to me. And she's one of my greatest heroes, is my mother, I would say.
First, I just want to thank God for me being here. I know I talk a lot of shit, but I'm real soft. I want to thank my family that drove and surprised me from Detroit. They came out today. My lovely best friend, Reglinda, my wife, being there. My cousin Joe, my son Noah, who's 8, and obviously my mom, man. It's, it means a lot. I'm not gonna be up here long because Charlie says he gonna kill me, so I'm gonna get off real quick. I just want to just thank everybody. I also want to thank Charlie. Charlie's the man. I live next to white people because of Charlie now, so it's a great thing. But this means a lot to me. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say this little story. So I can't think of the name of the movie, but Morgan Freeman played in it. He was in prison. There you go. Thank you. And I don't. If you remember that he went to parole, they denied him. He went to parole, they denied him. Then the last time he was like, I don't give a hell what y'all do. They granted his wish. So with this right here, I got denied 3 times or 2 times. And this last one, I'm not doing it. Next thing you know, I get a letter in the mail saying you got inducted. So what happened is, if you look at that, right, it wasn't about me. It wasn't my time. Sometimes we think that we need it at that moment, but it's not. So when I did get it, I was very happy, and I'm glad that I have it. And it means so much more to me because I didn't feel like I needed it at that moment, but I got it when I needed it. So thank you.
Listen, we are going to take a 5-minute break. Please don't take more than 5 minutes. But before we do, I would like the house lights to go up for a minute there, Miss Kate, because I want to acknowledge our previous grade 8 honorees by name. Would you please stand? My grade 8 honorees, I see. Please stand. Grade 8 honorees, 2021, 2020. I've got Mr. Kevin Morse, 2021. I've got Miss April Barron, 2021. I've got Miss Maggie Young, 2021. I've got Dr. Antoinette Glenn, 2021. I've got Mr. Daryl Young, Mr. Daryl McGraw. I just married you to Maggie. 2020, one of the originals. And Miss Robin Cullen, one of the original 2020 inductees. And where is she? Come on out here, Miss Queen Green, Mrs. Larice Harvey. We're gonna take 5 minutes, go get the bathroom, and be right back.
Hey everyone, Jeremy Brewer from the Connecticut Hall of Change. We're pleased to announce that we partnered with a friend of ours, Ryan Brouth from Comedy Craft Beer, to bring you a comedy show like no other. October 27th, there's going to be raffles, there's going to be prison art for sale, and of course, there's going to be our comics. Mr. Ryan Brouth is going to be hosting the show. He's brought a few friends of his. We have the very funny Katie Arroyo. We also have our good friend Darren Rivera, Connecticut's own Darren Rivera, very funny guy, and our headliner, Ali Sadiq. That's right, Ali Sadiq is coming to Connecticut to make you laugh and to help us raise money for this incredible organization, the Connecticut Hall of Change. You can get tickets at comedycraftbeer.com. That's comedycraftbeer.com. Go on the website, go down to October 27th, look at our event, get some tickets, tell your friends coming out. We're gonna raise money, we're gonna have an amazing time. The Connecticut Hall of Change, honoring and memorializing formerly incarcerated men and women who have done their time, changed their lives, and continue to work at changing the lives of others. See you in October. Get tickets at...
Didn't I tell you to get the hell out of my kitchen? What the hell are you doing here?
I love it.
So I think we are ready to reconvene here, but I do want to, several people came up to me during the break and said that we didn't realize that you were so funny and you look so serious all the time. And I just have a serious looking face. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. But thank you. And I do, Dr. Glenn, what you talked about with education, for those of you who don't know what I did past my tenure as commissioner, is I consult around the country on reform-driven work. And I only take on work that aligns to my values. But oftentimes when people ask for a recommendation is what's a quick fix, and I always say, elevate your educational platform. And if you do that, it's better for the health and well-being of both the staff and folks who happen to be incarcerated. So thank you for saying that earlier. I'm also pleased to announce, so we're halfway there, and there are some very big fans to the current recipients that would like to say congratulations. So here we go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Hutchinson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Taglia.
All of us here at News 8 want to congratulate all of you for being the 2022 inductees of the Connecticut Hall of Change. Clearly, you've been very busy giving back to Connecticut communities over many years, and today we salute you all.
Yeah, that's right. You have shown that you are resilient and can survive any challenge that comes your way. Working to help people in need of assistance is what each of you do very well. Doing for others is the ultimate gift, and it is why you are all being inducted into the Connecticut Hall of Change.
So today, congratulations to Monia Saunders, Gordon Lyde, Craig Wright, Edward Andrews,
Rebecca Allen, Dawn Grant Lockley, Dan Varley, and Roland Whitley.
You are truly all the Great Eight.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Saran.
I'm Jonathan Cubitt.
And I'm Alexa Farrell. We heard the great news that there's a new group of awesome people being inducted into the Connecticut Hall of Change.
All of us here at News 12 want to congratulate each of the 2022 Hall of Change inductees for all of your accomplishments in our Connecticut communities.
And keep up the awesome work as you are now members of the Great Eight.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say congrats to the newest inductees of the Connecticut Hall of Change and your families. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there with you to celebrate this amazing recognition and the community work that you do. And I didn't want to miss the opportunity to express my gratitude for just who you are and what you've done to get here today. And Charlie has bragged to me about each of you and the assistance you provide to folks coming home from incarceration, folks in rehab, and those just in need of assistance in their communities. So I commend you for all the heartfelt and selfless work you do each day for others. I salute the human beings you are after conquering life's obstacles along the way. And so congrats to Rebecca Allen, Craig Wright, Edward Andrews, Dan Varley, Roland Whitley, Gordon Lyle, Manya Sanders, Dawn, Grant Lockley. You are all truly the great 8 of 2022. So God bless you, and please continue to do what you're doing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Essie Cupp. I'm here at CNN about to go on air. I'm just hiding in my office. I wanted to take an opportunity to congratulate each and every one of you. I wish I could do it in person, but instead I'll do it here. So to Roland and Edward and Gordon and Rebecca and Craig and Dan and Dawn and Monia, I'm just so impressed. Charlie told me all of your stories and your contributions to community, which are just so important, the obstacles you've overcome, and all of the incredible things that you've done. And I'm inspired and I'm in awe. And listen, this world is full of bad news. I know more than most. We tell a lot of bad stories, so it's really great to hear some good ones. And I'm so glad that you all are being celebrated and memorialized in a Connecticut State Museum. That's so cool. And lastly, I just wanted to shout out all of your families because I know how much you leaned on them and how much they were there for you and how important family is. So shout out to all of you guys too. Again, wish I could be there to congratulate you personally, but I'm thrilled for you and keep doing the good work. Thanks.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro, and I'm so pleased to have this opportunity to join all of you in recognizing the men and women who will be honored this evening. I want to extend my congratulations and thanks to the 4 men and women who are being recognized tonight. All too often, the formerly incarcerated face seemingly insurmountable obstacles as they return to their families and to their communities. Each of you has overcome those challenges, and in sharing your stories, you are giving others who find themselves in similar circumstances hope that they too can find their right path to reform and to redemption. Let me also take a moment to extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to Charles Grady, whose time and dedication has made the Connecticut Hall of Change real. The Hall of Change is a unique project. It both recognizes the difficult road of the formerly incarcerated, and it seeks to educate our communities and foster discussion about mass incarceration in our society. Not only does it provide meaningful support for those who have worked to transform themselves, it provides a platform through which we can make our communities stronger and we can make our communities safer. Thank you all for your support of this very special project and its mission. Again, congratulations to tonight's honorees and best wishes for a wonderful evening.
I'm supposed to ask for a round of applause, but it looks like you've done that already. So I'm going to add one on really quick. You know, the Chief State's Attorney is here tonight, Pat Griffin, but I got to tell you a really quick story before we move forward with the next recipients. Pat, our families know each other, but he went out of his way to reach out to me and wanted to meet when he was being considered for the Chief State's Attorney's job. And he wanted to know what he should be doing to help improve the criminal justice system as it relates to the back end of the system. That has never happened before in my experience. And I think we should acknowledge that work. And he has a very serious looking face as well. So he's smiling on the inside. That's what I like to say. Okay, so we're moving on. We're almost there. We're going to quickly introduce our keynote speaker, and that is Associate Vice President Ronald Higgins of Yale University.
Good evening, everyone. It is an honor, a true honor and a privilege to be before you today to celebrate the accomplishments of this year's Grade 8. And I truly am, as I sit here, I am beyond energized to be here with this remarkable and transformative group of individuals. Craig, Roland, Rebecca, Danielle, Edward, Manya, Dawn, and Gordon. Let's give them a round of applause. You know, each of you, with your own journey, have traveled to, through, and back from the criminal justice system, back into your communities to do some amazing work. And you're here today, being honored. I am also beyond energized to see, as Commissioner Semple described, so many of our criminal justice system's leadership. We have federal judges, state judges, our chief state's attorney, our U.S. attorney, just a U.S. attorney for the state district of Connecticut that was here earlier, the first black woman to ascend to that post since the position was created in 1789. And knowing both Vanessa and our chief state's attorney, Pat, I have to tell you, they both understand that the game is not played in the dugout. The game is played in the field, and it's evidenced by them being here tonight to support this endeavor. I want to also just talk a little bit tonight about how the Hall of Change is engaging in what I believe is disruptive innovation. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines disruptive as disrupting or tending to disrupt some process, activity, or condition. Merriam-Webster's dictionary also defines innovation as a new idea, a method, or a device, introducing something new. The Hall of Change is just that. Introducing disruptive innovation into the state of Connecticut that is going to be replicated throughout this country. We heard Dr. Glenn earlier talk about how the state of Connecticut is right now in the process of communicating with the state of Maryland, in that she is pledged to do the groundwork. We need more folks that are out there pledging to do the groundwork like Dr. Glenn. But let me just provide just a couple of examples of what I believe disruptive innovation is as it relates to the Hall of Change. Let's start with hang time. Every Tuesday night for the last several years, 20 to 40 people come together and break bread to have real talk about current issues that run the gamut. No beefs, it's not allowed. No disrespect, that's not allowed either. All are welcome. Judges, attorneys, academics, business folks, entrepreneurs, and just regular everyday people coming together to break bread and have real talk. That's where I first met Roland. They don't have to come, but they do, and they continue to come back because they want to participate. What are they participating in? They're taking part in innovation. Each and every individual brings with them something to hang time by way of education, experience, and perspective. But one must ask the question, what's in it for them? Why do they want to participate in this innovative effort? Those who do so can answer that. However, what I and others are witnessing is a concept rooted in respect and recognition that our differences are important and that humanity and the value we see in each person, no matter where they are, whatever their station or place in life, matters. Folks, the level of incivility in this world today and in this country, let's be real here. Are we gonna have real talk? Okay, the level of incivility in this country right now is such that we need programs like Hang Time where people with differences and different perspectives can come together under the guise of respect and value. That's what we should be doing, and that's what makes this the greatest country on the state of this on the planet Earth. Another example of disruptive innovation. Since 2021, the Hall of Change members and Hang Time members have spoken to correctional cadets and police academy graduates. Police academy graduates representing 13 cities and towns throughout the state of Connecticut and over 150 correctional cadets. Prior to me becoming Associate VP of Public Safety at Yale, I was a police officer and I was a police chief. But even before that, Commissioner Semple, I was a correction officer right here in the very state of Connecticut. And when I went to the Corrections Academy in Mansfield, Connecticut, I had no former inmates. I had no formerly incarcerated individuals coming in to tell me about their experiences so that I could do things differently. We have that now. That is an example of disruptive innovation. Folks, I won't be before you long, and as I close, I just want to share with you that the process that the committee undergoes to vet inductees into the Connecticut Hall of Change is very intense. And I will join you next year, Commissioner Semple, as one of those individuals. Hopefully, I don't have to host next year. But what I will say is that what I do pledge, and I shared this with Charlie earlier, is that I will continue to work with all others to amplify your voice, to amplify your work, to support your efforts, and to help expand and replicate this program. As I close, I just want to speak directly to the newest class of the Grade 8. I want to remind you all that a journey of 1,000,000 miles begins with the first step. And although you have taken several steps in your journey, this is not a race. It's a marathon. Take care of yourself, love one another, support your families as your families have supported you, and keep running that race. Thank you. Thank you.
How about Mr. Vice President for host next year? Anybody? Charlie. Okay. Now we're going to start with the next 4 inductees. So I call Craig Wright.
Mr. Craig Wright is the owner of Craig's Soul Food Kitchen restaurant located in Vernon, Connecticut, which opened in 2017. Originally from Michigan, after having some difficulties in his early years and spending time in prison, he decided to focus himself on learning as much as he could about the restaurant business and to being the very best he could be and be successful. Mr. Wright has worked hand in the restaurant industry over the years, learning a lot from some talented people, and combined with family background in Southern cuisine to create a successful restaurant. Mr. Wright has also contributed to his community these past 4 years by donating dinners at Thanksgiving and giving away baskets at Easter and anything he can do to improve his community. Mr. Craig Wright.
My name is Craig Wright, and I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. But for the past 20 years, I've been a resident of Connecticut. My first arrest was, I say, definitely age 17. I got I ended up being caught in a stolen car with a couple kids. And then from that point, it just snowballed. Like I went from petty crime all the way to dealing drugs, ended up getting raided a couple times. Initially it was always just a slap on the wrist, but over time you get in trouble enough, you go to the same courthouse enough, the people there recognize you enough, and those dockets, your cases just keep increasing, you're gonna end up getting more time, and that's what happened to me. Well, I was sentenced to 3.5 years. I ended up doing 2 years, 10 months in prison. And then the remaining 7 months I spent in the halfway house. But I did the whole sentence though. And that was for possession of drugs, possession of narcotics, drug factory, all the little minor petty stuff that comes with that. But I was on probation. I got out of prison. And I decided to turn around and do the same exact thing I did before. It's like insanity when you keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And I was definitely living an insane life. The aha moment in my life was definitely when I got sentenced the last time to the 3.5 years. I couldn't tell you the exact time within that bid that I got the light came off in my head. But I do remember going in front of the parole board, being accepted for parole. And I went straight to them and I told them, I said, hey, I get like emotional thinking about this. This is a true story. Like it was a video parole too. And I went straight to them and they all interviewed me. And I told them straight up, like, I'm 25 years old. I have nothing. And I've just let my family down so much. And just, and that feeling sticks with me right now. Like, that was probably like the real turning point where I didn't want that life anymore. I wanted, like I've been to prison multiple times. Like even this time I was sentenced to 3.5 years. And I know next time I get in trouble, it's just gonna be more. And then the hit is I'm around people, like I'm 25 now. So I'm around inmates that are like in their 40s, 50s. I see what this life is going to end. I see what this has to offer. From there, I had to turn it around, and I did. I'm very resilient, very resilient. It's one thing I learned about just when getting out of prison, working my ranks up through the restaurant industry and then owning my own restaurant, surviving through the pandemic, and just working, grinding day in, day out. Life is not easy. Life is not going to always go your way. And this goes for everybody. And you have to deal with that. And you have to suck it up at times, and you have to roll with the punches, and you have to figure it out. So what I do for work now is I actually own a restaurant in Vernon called Craig's Kitchen. Been open 5 years now. It's a soul food restaurant. It's the best soul food restaurant, best Southern food you will have this side of the United States. I love speaking to kids. I would love to speak with kids. But one thing I would definitely love to do is speak with inmates in prison. Because I've been the inmate in a prison. Like I've been there. Like I feel that I could definitely help a lot of inmates in prison on their way out, just to give them, like to tell them my story, tell them how I did it, just to let them know that it's hope. Like you don't have to keep going back to doing that. So I wasn't gonna get all emotional, but just watching that video and hearing me talk about being in front of the parole board really brought back these emotions. Just like I said, all of us right here, we've all been in a state where we haven't been proud of ourselves. And we've known that we've been letting the people that care about us the most down. And now just reverse standing right here now. I feel that my mother isn't here anymore, but I know if she was, she'd be so proud of me. She would be, and honestly, that right there means the world to me. And with that, I love my fiance. I love you so much. You've done so much for me. Just with running a business, I put in literally 14, 15, 16-hour days, 6 days a week.
you put up with me. You're my right hand, and I love you, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Let's hear it for our next inductee, Mr. Daniel Varley.
Daniel Varley. After serving a 10-year federal prison sentence, Dan Varley committed to using both his recovery and his incarceration experience to assist others facing the same battles and to advocate for systematic change. Dan completed his BS and his MSW post-incarceration and is a licensed clinical social worker. He currently works at the Ford Clinic, Forensic Drug Diversion at Yale University, where he supports clients in the recovery and reentry. He created and facilitated the formerly incarcerated recovery support training, also known as FIRST, and internship program at Yale, which provides training and paid internships in mentoring and peer support for individuals with lived experience. Dan is also a proud member of the Federal Support Court in New Haven. He enjoys spending time with his sweetie, Tabitha, her son, G, and daughter, Kay, and their 4 dogs, 3 cats, and a couple of critters, riding his Harley and trying desperately to catch fish. Dan Varley.
I would say I was a happy kid. We may not have always had what we wanted, but we always had what we needed. And we were loved. But with my parents' divorce, there was always a little bit of conflict going on. And I don't know if it was environmental or genetic, but my substance abuse started at a pretty young age. You know, I started dabbling in marijuana. By 11, 12, I was already drinking alcohol. And so things started to, get rocky around that time. So I grew up in Carmel, New York. It's a small town in relation to Connecticut. It's 2 towns over the border from Danbury, Connecticut. I would say what led me to crime in the beginning was probably just more mischief and, stuff in the neighborhood. We would do things and, I was borrowing mom's car. I know that's stealing, but borrowing mom's car when I was 13. I had friends, we would break into neighborhood houses and steal the liquor and then leave. We wouldn't even look for anything valuable, just the liquor. And what do I plan to do as a member of the Hall of Change? Stay grounded, like I said, I'm truly humbled to have been honored with this. I've met so many amazing people in the last 9 years that I've been home that could be sitting in this chair and should be and hopefully will be in the years to come. But what I hope to do is carry a message that people can change. I hope that it carries a message primarily to the people who are just coming home, that are wondering what their direction is, and to the people that are still incarcerated. We can't forget the people that are sitting there today, hoping upon hope that they get exposed to those unique opportunities that I was exposed to. So my hope is that I can carry some type of message and hopefully pass that along to the right people. So today I work for Yale University. I work at the Forensic Drug Diversion Clinic in New Haven. It's a collaboration between Yale University and CMHC, which is a Demas funded facility. My title is clinical psychiatric therapist, but I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and we're a substance abuse clinic working with individuals that are either being diverted from the system or on their way home from system. Could be people on probation or parole, or people with pending charges. One of the greatest parts, which COVID kind of pumped the brakes on, but was being able to go into the prison and start to meet men and women before they were released, and build a little bit of a relationship with them, so that the day they were released, they had somewhere to come and they knew people. I love my job. I really do. I don't know that. It was my dream job when I was incarcerated, was to come home and do substance abuse with individuals that have criminal justice involvement. To think that I would actually get this type of position with an elite Ivy League school, if you told me that, I probably would have said, you're out of your mind, you know?
Thank you. I still don't get it. Sometimes it feels like yesterday that I came home and I really mean it. I love the work that I do. First, I'd like to thank my family for being here tonight. I wanted to bring the 4 dogs and the 3 cats, but that was nixed. My amazing girlfriend Tabitha, my sister, and my niece Zoanne, my friend Kevin and Carla. I had another guest spot and Judge Myers from New Haven Reentry Court. Thank you for coming, Judge. Someone told me I would have a judge as a guest at an event like this a couple of years ago even. I would have said probably not, or many years ago, I should say. I started working with Judge Myers about 6 years ago, I think, and he's gracious enough to let me go back and keep going. Someone was talking about the journey before, and with the work I do, I put a quote on the beginning of this training that I think it's Ralph Waldo Emerson, and it's about the journey, not the destination. And I believe that today. But one of the things that was really important for me, I would get sober, I would get clean, I would get out of jail or out of treatment, and I would feel better, and I would go back and repeat the same thing, that definition of insanity. I realized this time around that I needed to have a destination, I needed to have a goal, I needed to have a mission. So it's about the journey, but I had to have something to work towards. And the day I had my last drink in federal prison, I looked at that system and I didn't know anything about collateral consequences, mass incarceration, racial disparity. I didn't know these buzzwords, but I looked out and I knew there was something wrong. And I knew that I wanted to go home and make a difference. So that's what I kind of try to do each day. Thank you.
Do you want to introduce him?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Do you want me to buy time? We're ahead of schedule. I now call up to the stage our next inductee is Dawn Grant Lockley.
Miss Dawn W. Grant Lockley has devoted herself to helping people. She returned home from prison, obtained a degree in science for social work, and opened Brenda's Way Counseling Services in New Haven. She decided that she wanted to be able to do whatever she could to maybe help someone else and or prevent others from going through what she went through. She is a tri-chair for the Criminal Legal Reform Team under Connect, congregations organized for New Connecticut. She was also a strong advocate for the recently passed Clean Slate Bill here in Connecticut. Please put your hands together for Miss Dawn Grant Lockley.
My name is Dawn Grant Lockley. So my home life was good, but complicated, I guess. You know how we say that there was no one in the house that looked like me. So there was no one in the house that looked like me. And I wasn't really the most confident. I wanted to sing. That's what I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. My father especially would tell me, "You are super smart. You have no idea." And I would say, "Yeah, no, that's not true. I just want to sing." So I made life for myself difficult. I left home April 11th, 1991, and called myself being an adult. So I lived in my car, and then I met some people, and they liked me, you know. They didn't care what I looked like. They didn't care whether I was smart. They didn't care about any of that. They just liked me. I never felt like I was good enough. Like, my brother and sister played sports. I did not. My brother and sister were social. They had friends. They did all these things, and they were closer in age. They were 2.5 years apart, whereas I'm 6 or 5.5 and 7.5 years. So it was always like me on an island by myself versus, and it wasn't them. It was me and my negative feelings about me. The most influential person in my life was my mother. She was the best person I know. She would literally give you the clothes off her back. I went to prison for conspiracy to murder. And I didn't tell her until the day I went to prison. I called her up and I said, "Ma." So I went to court and she said, "I know." I said, "Well, they said that I'm gonna be gone for 6.5 years." I probably disappointed her at that moment. The turning point for me, before I came home, I wasn't going back. My mom had 2 heart attacks while I was in there. And I realized that she was really afraid for me. At that point, you know, I had a daughter that I wasn't able to spend time with, and I had disappointed my best friend in the world, who was my mom. So the point in which I started to do things in the community was actually, I was sitting with my therapist, and he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "I want to help people." And he said, "That's social work." I said, "Well, then that's what I want to do." I went to Columbia University and got my master's in science for social work, and I wanted to help prevent people from going through what I did. So I started by doing family therapy since I've been home, and I've been home over 20 years. Other than my family, I've never heard, "Good job. I'm proud of you." I hear no a lot because I'm formerly incarcerated. Pardon board said no to me 4 times. And it just seemed like what I did, everything I did, no matter what it was, just didn't matter. So being inducted into the Hall of Change says that it kind of does matter, you know. I want to continue to help people. I believe that being inducted into the Hall of Change will allow me to reach more people versus just the people that are in my vicinity. I want people to know that you aren't a failure because you were incarcerated, and you're still capable of doing whatever it is that you set your mind to, despite your mistake, and you shouldn't have to pay for your mistake for the rest of your life.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to Charles Grady, of course, and the Hall of Change for making me feel like I matter. I want to say thank you to my best friend in the universe, my husband, Steve Lockley. I want to say thank you to my former roommate, Louise Harvey. My husband, before we got here, he said, "You don't really seem all that excited." He said, "I'm kind of more excited than you." I said, "Yeah, probably." Right? And I thought about that, and I thought about why. And I think the answer to that is because people that are formerly incarcerated don't get acknowledged. we are told no. We're told we don't matter. We're told that we're never going to be enough. But we never get acknowledged for the stuff we do. So I want to say congratulations to all of the people that are being inducted today and the people that have been inducted in the past.
Okay, while we're waiting, I'm just going to tell another quick story. I'm pointing to people that I know I've interacted with in my career, and then there's the Honorable Judge Erica Tyndall. Before her role as a judge, she was the chairperson of the Board of Pardons and Parole. And on her own accord, this is back in the day when I was a warden, she was visiting every one of the facilities in the state of Connecticut Department of Correction, wanting to know and learn more about the needs and the activities and everything that was going on in the system that aligned itself to reentry and reform. But not only that, we had significant discussions, and Erica, I hope you remember this, but you sent me books to read because you thought they would help me become a better leader, and apparently it worked, so thank you. Okay. I really meant what I said, but I am buying time. All right, last but not least, and I met this gentleman earlier, Gordon Light.
Gordon W. Lyde has overcome life challenges and devotes himself to assisting others as they go through hardships. He is the program manager for the Waterbury Reentry Welcome Center, where they help men and women transition from prison to life after prison. He is also the program manager for the Waterbury Hang Time and part-time clinician at Urban Community Alliance Fatherhood Program. He's a member of the City of Torrington's Cultural Diversity Council and has dedicated his life to being of service to those in need and suffering from substance abuse and mental health. Gordon continues to further his education and is currently certified drug and alcohol counselor. His greatest achievement is that he is a great-grandfather to his 3 grandsons. Let's hear it for Gordon Lyde.
Wow, to be a new inductee of the Hall of Change, first, it is the most humbling thing that I've ever experienced. To be recognized for doing just the right thing, doing what you're supposed to do, living on purpose, being on assignment, and just doing it. Not because for any other reason, but it's the right thing to do. To be recognized for that is truly, truly an honor. My name is Gordon Lyde. I am the program manager of the Waterbury Reentry Welcome Center, as well as the program manager of the Waterbury Hang Time. I grew up in a projects in New Haven called Rockview, right down the street from Southern Connecticut University. I first got in trouble with the law when I was 12. I've been to jail, I would like to say 8 times. The longest bit I ever served, I served 9 years, 8 months, and 3 weeks of a 10-year sentence. That was for assault in the first degree. The reason why I was the way I was as a kid and I just did things mischievous was because I truly believe I didn't get attention at home. Being the youngest in a household, you're like invisible. That's one reason. Another reason, you have to go before the projects, the foster home system. There was a lot of trauma. See, trauma was my gateway to everything. It was my gateway to trouble. It was my gateway to drugs. It was my gateway to anything. December 22nd, 2008, I was sitting at the Regal Inn Motel on Whaley Avenue in New Haven. I was at the end of a long drug run, and two things. I didn't want to go back to prison, and I didn't want to die. And in that moment, I felt a level of misery, like on a cellular level. If I didn't do something different right now, one or both of those things was going to happen. It is the most humbling thing that I've ever experienced. To be recognized for doing just the right thing, doing what you're supposed to do, living on purpose, being on assignment, and just doing it. Not because for any other reason, but it's the right thing to do. To be recognized for that is truly, truly an honor. I mean, I can't put it into words what it's like, where I come from and what I used to be like. I seem to live in this perpetual pinch myself moment, like, this is my life. It's truly amazing and it's truly an honor. And it's not wasted on me like, okay, this is just, no, it's huge. So when I think about it, it's not, what could this honor do for me? What could this recognition do for me? No, it's what could I do for this recognition? How can I enhance? How can I represent? How can I uphold the principles and the values that go with being an inductee, one of the great 8? How do I make that better? Wow. For many years, I've had this background that was just overshadowed with convictions and crimes. And that's all I was ever seen by. It was just overshadowing any good that I've ever done. But on August 18th, due to just doing what I'm supposed to do, I was given a full and absolute pardon. I can do anything now. I'm no longer held back by the mistakes of my past. And I can truly, truly soar. To be given a clean slate was something I thought about, but I never see myself actually get. I couldn't fathom what that would be like. So to hear my name, GW lied, motion for a full absolute pardon, and to be granted, it's beyond words.
Congratulations, bro.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, man. I have to thank God, right? First and foremost, for a host of things, because without God, this wouldn't be possible. My sister wouldn't have traveled from Philly to come here to celebrate this with me. My oldest daughter, Kwanda, wouldn't be sitting up there because she watched me growing while she grew up. Well, she didn't watch, she heard the stories of me being an absentee father, just being out there doing everything and anything, just hearing rumors of what happened next. And then for me to go to prison and then to come home and she's 18. I thank God that I get to work with Charlie. It's only that God, like I was sitting back listening to some of the announcements and some of the recognitions. The last time I stood in front of a judge or had my name associated with a commissioner of the Department of Corrections is when they sentenced me to 10 years. It is only God that I can sit there and come full circle to stand in front of a group of judges that are here to honor me. Also, I didn't even know this was going to happen. I thank Rosa DeLaurel, right? Because this 10-year sentence, she wrote a letter to the judge, right? Saying, Mr. Lyde is a menace to my streets. She was an alder person at the time. He's a menace to my streets. He needs to be punished by the full extent of the law, right? Talk about full circle. She gets to congratulate me for being a grade 8 for turning my life around. I thank God for so many things, for to be where I am. And I thank my good friend Paul and his wife Jamie for driving up here to support me. My sponsor, Tom. Before he became my sponsor, he was my clinician when I went into treatment after that story on December 22nd, where I surrendered. Christmas Eve of 2008, I walked into Carnes Wheat's treatment facility, and he met me at the door. And he met the broken, angry, totally dysfunctional and defiant Gordon. And with his help, he introduced me to that little Gordy inside and helped me start the healing process. And now he's my sponsor and he helps me on a daily basis. And I love him dearly for that. I thank him. My list can go on forever of all the people that has helped me, that has been a part of my life, that has believed in me. Beth Hines, she's seen something in me from the time before I started working for her. And now I was promoted to a program manager to start and build a program from scratch because she's seen something in me. I wasn't the most qualified one on the list. I wasn't the most educated one on the list she can find. But she's seen something in me and allowed me the opportunity to build something. And she's not just my boss, she's also my friend, and I thank her dearly for being that. Sue Gunderwoman, our paths has crossed so many times over the past decade. And I appreciate you so much because you're another one that's always seen the good in me. And this is not easy for me, right? Accepting that acknowledgement, being acknowledged for doing the right thing. But I appreciate it. And I love all the people that have crossed my path. And my fellow inductees, it's truly an honor to be amongst you guys. It's so much greatness to be a part of that. I'm just honored just to be in the center of that, and I just happen to be sitting in the center of everyone, and it's just amazing. I can go on forever, but I'm not. Thank you all. I love you.
Okay, that does it for me. I just want to express my appreciation for what you've done to strive to receive this recognition. Yeah, how about a standing ovation? Okay. I'm going to turn it off. Could the grade 8 come up on stage, please? Come on up on stage. The current grade 8, if you can, the other grade 8s can come on after. They're grade 16s. All right, hopefully we're going to have great hundreds in several years from now. But I'm going to leave the stage and turn it over to my friend Charlie. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Let's hear it for Mr. Scott Semple, MC extraordinaire. Mean face and all. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, my heart is full. And I want to just thank every one of you for being here because you all meant something to this process along the way, but tonight really showed it. And if you didn't feel something deep in your heart today, you need to check your pulse because you might be dead. Every single one of these human beings up here shared their entire soul and their story with you. Most of you they have never met, but the reality is these people are so real that they understand that they are now empowered and chosen to do the work on a greater level. So I applaud all of you first and foremost. And once again, please grab a photo of the 2022 Hall of Change inductees. All of them. So, everyone have a good night. Thank you.